Hey there, folks. So we are doing the daily financial news from Penang, Malaysia. We're actually in the port of Penang. It was a wonderful city to visit. We will be back tomorrow for round 2. Yep, we are doing it overnight in Penang. Wonderful city. Hope you all get to visit it someday. Well, we got to talk about Jerome Powell and what he said. He basically has started to indicate that inflation is cooling, right? We are seeing disinflation. Now, again, it was really interesting to hear Powell talk about the 3 levels of inflation. Obviously, number 1 is what he referred to as goods inflation. Now, this is about 30% of our economy, and as we've talked about on this channel, goods inflation clearly coming down, and deflation in many products is around the corner. Then Powell went on to talk about housing, which again, you and I have talked about as being the hard component. And Powell said, kind of a good news, bad news story is he does think housing will come down, but it won't be for 4 to 6 months. Where have you heard that before? And then finally, he said the area that he is most concerned about is what he called services. Now, services inflation is code for wages. Right? Wages make up about 75 to 78% of services, right? It's not a thing, it's not a widget. It is a service provided by human beings. So services inflation is akin to wage inflation. And it's going to take a while, right? That is what you and I have often referred to as the really hard, right? We've got the easy, which is almost done. We've got the hard that will come down, but in the summer. And then we've got the really hard that it's going to take some time. The January jobs number, Jerome Powell talked about it. And, he indicated that, a lot of the blowout number was simply because of migration or immigration. And that a lot of that could be explained away. He is talking about the JOLTS report. About 4 months ago, he wanted to see the JOLTS report to unemployment come down to about a 1.2 to 1.4 ratio. Today, for reference, it's at 1.9, which means there's 1.9 or almost 2 job openings for every unemployed person. Historically, he wanted that to come in significantly. He now admits that, this time may be different. The pandemic may have fundamentally shifted the economy, the employment picture, and what we do to count employment and the like. It may not go back to where it was. So he is acknowledging that his old kind of ratio is out of whack. Now let's flip over to the jobs market and the bond market. And clearly, I think it is fair to say that the bond market finally believes the Fed will raise rates and will not cut in 2024 or 2023. Will not cut in 2023. You and I have talked about that being unlikely. I did not think that was possible. I think the bond market now agrees. But that said, there is still a part about how high do they have to go. The CPI print next week is important. Right now, we have a lock of 25 in March. If the CPI print comes in flat, we probably lock in a 25 in May. If CPI comes in hot, we could be talking about a 50 basis point. So again, I believe Jerome Powell and the Fed would like to do 25 basis points here on out. I think these supersized Fed rate moves are done, but that could change if CPI comes in hot. We did get some earnings. Chipotle, a pandemic darling who was crushing it, missed top line, missed bottom line, and did announce that they're looking to hire 15,000 people and open 285 stores in 2023. Enphase beat top, beat bottom. VF Corp, which is a clothing company, beat top, beat bottom. Zoom has announced a 15% cut to its workforce, folks. We are starting to see companies get religion on cost controls. They are right-sizing organizations. It is the white-collar recession we've talked about. On top of that, Dell Computers is also cutting, and they're cutting 6,600 jobs. Got some updates from Brian Lebo, and you are going to get a special Brian Lebo video on Thursday at 3 o'clock Pacific, so 6 o'clock Eastern. Brian Lebo's just done a one rental at a time only update on Vegas, and let's just say it's pure fire. He talked about sales being down 53%. He talked about pendings being twice actual sales in January. What does that mean? And oh, by the way, they have had 14 weeks of inventory declines. And then finally, Brian makes a crazy call that you are going to want to tune into. Again, Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific, Brian Lebo does a one rental at a time update on Las Vegas housing market. Must attend. President Biden is looking to go after billionaires again. It gets a lot of claps and a lot of people say yay because we got to tax the billionaires. He's also talking about raising the stock buyback tax from 1% to 4%. I again want to just have I don't know if this is an accounting or if this is an economic conversation, but here's the deal. If you are, let's just say there is a 10% tax on buybacks. And who was it? I think Exxon? Yeah, I think Exxon just announced, or was it Chevron? I think it was Chevron, I stand corrected. Chevron announced a $40 billion buyback, which was roughly 20% of their stock float. If you were going to tax them 10%, that would be a $4 billion hit. But you know what? There's another way for Exxon to use that $40 billion. They could issue what's called a special dividend. You can't make this stuff up. They want to punish stocks buybacks, so they'll just do something else. They're returning capital to the shareholders. Yes, Chevron is taking $40 billion off their balance sheet. They are not investing in new machines, new equipment, new fields. If you're going to tax them on buybacks, they'll just issue dividends. They'll let the cash sit there. They'll buy something stupid. Whatever. And then let's talk about Jeremy Siegel. Remember Jeremy Siegel? He was out there whining for the Fed to cut. Well, now Jeremy Siegel is saying, oh my goodness, the job market is so strong, the Fed is going to have to go higher than he expects, and the Fed is going to cause a nasty recession. Wow. Quite the flip-flop from Mr. Jeremy Siegel. So at the end of the day, folks, have a good day. Pay special attention to Brian Lebo's video on Thursday. Matt the Mortgage Guy just did an update on crazy mortgage rates going from 5.99 to 6.4. How is that for a 48-hour window? Or 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, 2 or 3 days. And again, enjoy to all my haters out there. I can't hear you. I'm in Penang, Malaysia. Take care. Like, subscribe, comment. Who knows what we'll be tomorrow. Bye.